Hello and welcome to a live Kerfefe break on Deprogrammed with Keri Smith. Wait a minute, where's the microphone? Everything is so messed up. Let's see if this works better. I am on the road. I'm in an undisclosed location in New Mexico. And so we are trying to get this set up here. How does this sound? You have to tell me in the chat. Robert, I see Robert laughing. Robert, I could have used your help. I need you to come on the road. Somebody says, Adam says, Tiffany lamp. Yeah. So we're staying at a friend's place, as I said, in an undisclosed location in New Mexico. I've got the camera in a different place. I've got the travel microphone. We'll see how this is doing. Thank you, Amy. She says the mic's fine. Okay. And I still wanted to talk to you guys today. I wanted to hang out because I was getting caught up on all the news with the Dr. Peter Hotez stuff. And this is a live show. If you're new here and you're like, what the heck is going on? This is a live show on Mondays and Fridays on the Deprogrammed channel where we hang out. We talk about what's in the news, what's on our mind. And it's usually a little bit less chaotic than this because I'm in my usual studio. But as I said, I'm on the road. I just this weekend I got to go to Chrissy Mayer's wedding, which was lovely. It was the ceremony was a good mix of traditional, which I really love. I got kind of teary. Other people got teary too. It wasn't just me. It was a good mix of traditional and funny. Of course, it's going to be funny because she's hilarious, and there were a lot of comedians there, and there were so many funny elements. And they hired a Trump impersonator at one point during the reception, and he got up and roasted everyone. He's like a comedian who does this Trump impression. He was so good that I had to do a double take because I thought it was really Trump at first. Like he walked like him, his mannerisms, his method of speaking, all of it. He was amazing. I got to see Mike Harlow. I got to meet Larry Sharpe, who ran for governor in New York on the Libertarian ticket. And I'm scheduled to be on his radio show in a couple of weeks. So that was kind of a small world moment meeting him in person right before that happens. And there were a ton of people there. Alex Stein, of course, very funny. Lila Hart, Anthony Cumia, Gina Visconti, and that Star Wars girl, Anna, and of course, Melanie Mack, who caught the bouquet. Anyway, it was really cool. But I'm so tired. I've been traveling. I feel like I've been traveling for 3 or 4 days. Although it was like 2 very long days of travel to get there and back. And so I'm rambling. I haven't caught up on sleep entirely yet, but I am in New Mexico. If you are in New Mexico and you want to come hang out, my husband has a show tomorrow night at Taos. Here, let me put this on the screen. I'm just going to show you where he's playing in case you want to come and say hello. We are going to be on the road for 2 weeks. He's doing shows. We're going up to Montana. And so also if you're in Montana and you want to hang out, let me know. This is his website. And tomorrow night at the Rolling Still Distillery in Taos, New Mexico, Tuesday night, June 20th, 6 o'clock. If you're in the area, come say hello. We'll be having fun. And then he's at the Red Lodge Songwriters Festival in Red Lodge, Montana, for several days. We'll be there Thursday to Saturday, June 22nd to June 24th. There's a ton of songwriters who are coming. And if you're in the area, come say hello. We're also going to be just like taking some days to go hiking and do some stuff. So if you are in Colorado, hit me up because we're going through Colorado. We might have time to do something. And if you're in Montana, hit me up. And there are some of you I've already told, I'm like, I'm coming. I'm going to see you for sure. So that's what we're doing. And we're going to try and we've spent, before I went to the wedding, we spent several days tricking out our music van. I call it, and Anthony's like, don't call it a music van. But the purpose of the van is to be able to, for him to be able to go on the road and do tours and not have to spend money on hotels. And so he watched a lot of the van life videos, and this is basically phase 2 of the van, where we took the bed apart that he had built and we took the panels off. And so we repainted the panels, put them back in. We beautified it this time, and bought a cabinet, put that in there so there's storage space, and really tricked it out. He learned how to do the electrical wiring. There's all these cool pocket lights at the top, and he let me bring in my hot glue gun and add some blue roses and stuff. So it's like a blue and white decor. We have air conditioning. It's going to be really comfortable. No spending money on hotels, which I'm excited about. So we were doing that, getting that ready before leaving. And yeah, Texas to New York to New Mexico. That's crazy. Yeah, well, Aaron, he got on the road before me. He couldn't go to the wedding because he had to get to Lubbock first and then Albuquerque. So I met him here in Albuquerque. I met him in Tiger. They had some, guys' days on the road without me. And yeah, now we're going up to Montana. Keri Smith is rebooting the Partridge Family. It feels like it's me and my husband and my dog in a van. And we'll come say hello. If you're on our path, we'll say hello. Okay. So this was good. Just catching up, hanging out. Let me see if I missed anything else in the chat. Hey, Dom. Oh, I see so many people. I know. Hey, Adam, Jules. Okay, the thing I wanted to talk about today was Hotez, because I was keeping, I don't always get pulled into whatever the topic of the day is. We don't always cover those things. But sometimes if it catches my attention and it really bothers me, and this really bothered me for some reason, I think because we're at a state of, culturally, we're at a state where there are a lot of people who have been waking up to some of the propaganda tactics of the media during the COVID years. And there are a lot of people who chose to get the vax and maybe chose to get the second shot, who are now choosing not to continue down that path of what they're now saying, monthly. Do it monthly. So the numbers of the so-called hesitant have been increasing, and the numbers of the skeptical have been increasing, especially as the mainstream starts to tell us things that were verboten just a short year or two ago. Like, things that people got censored for and punished for even asking the question. Remember when you couldn't even ask the question, hey, where did this virus come from? Could it potentially have escaped through some accident or what have you? Could it potentially have escaped from the lab next door, which studied such things? No, that's crazy. You can't say that. You can't ask that question. That's crazy. You're a bunch of conspiracy theorists, and we'll kick you off the internet if you ask that, right? Well, now, of course, the mainstream's like, hey guys, looks like they waited several years until there's not as much of a demand to know. People have kind of moved on, and they're like, by the way, yeah, it probably came from that lab. Anyway, like they just kind of drop this information and move on. Anyway, let's move on. No biggie. So because of that, I think there are more people who are now in this hesitant category. And because we're there, it seems like there's a growing desire for some of these mouthpieces during the propaganda years to be held accountable, or at least for the first time to be questioned. And, science is about asking questions. That's what science is. It's not a cult. Science is not, it should not be viewed as a cult. It's not a religion. It's not a faith. Science is a methodology, and it's all about asking questions. And you will see that in a cultural time like ours, where up is down and down is up, where there's a lot of projection and a lot of narcissistic tactics. DARVO, it's called DARVO, deny and reverse victim offender. We're living in a time culturally where we see a lot of those tactics being used on us in the same way that an individual narcissist would use that tactic on a target. where the media, the propagandists, the government are basically like, you guys don't trust science. You guys are anti-science. It's you guys. They're pointing the finger, right? It's like that Spider-Man, the two Spider-Man meme where they're both pointing the finger. And so they're the ones they're accusing you of the very thing they're doing. They don't allow questions. They don't support science. But they accuse you first, so that when you accuse them, it's like, to an outsider, it's like, well, how do I decide? It looks like the two Spider-Men pointing at each other. But we're living in that world currently, and one of the biggest perpetrators of this kind of narcissistic propaganda, not allowing questions, accusing people who have questions or who doubt or who want to engage in conversation, accusing them of somehow being anti-science or being conspiracy theory. One of the biggest people who's been engaging in this is this Dr. Peter Hotez. He is an establishment scientist. He is a big pharma shill, which he really doesn't appreciate being called, but it's the truth. And something happened over the weekend that, even though I was on the road, I could not help following this. So if you haven't seen this yet, I'm going to start with, let's start with some of the communications between Peter Hotez and Joe Rogan. So this all started when RFK Jr. was on Joe Rogan's podcast. And Hotez decided to share a hit piece about that appearance. And he had some comments. So he's happy to. We'll notice this whole thing started because Hotez wanted to talk some crap on Twitter. This whole thing that we're about to walk through started because Hotez wanted to talk some crap. But when someone spoke back to him, suddenly, oh my gosh, how dare, I'm the victim now. You're asking me to come on and debate? I'm such a victim. So here we go. This is where it started. I'm going to try and make this just a little bit larger. Okay. So Hotez shares this article from Vice about RFK Jr. appearing on Joe Rogan's podcast. And he says, he's critical of this, right? He says, Spotify has stopped even sort of trying to stem Joe Rogan's vaccine misinformation. It's really true, Anna Merlin. She's the author of the Vice piece. It's really true, Anna Merlin. Just awful. And from all the online attacks I'm receiving after this absurd podcast, it's clear that many actually believe this nonsense. So that's where this started. Now we're going to go to Joe Rogan. I guess he didn't expect Rogan to say anything or to respond, right? But Rogan's an adult. He does have the largest podcast in the country. So very reasonably, I think he responds to this and he says, Peter, if you claim that what RFK Jr. is saying is misinformation, I am offering you $100,000 to the charity of your choice if you're willing to debate him on my show with no time limit. So basically, here, I will give money, because he knows this guy's not going to do it. So he's also offering the incentive of money. I'll give $100,000 to the charity of your choice. Please come on my program and have a conversation with the guy that you're saying is spreading misinformation. Let's hear the two of you talk it out. Let the listener decide. Okay, so how does Hotez respond? Hotez says, Joe, you have my cell, my email. I'm always willing to speak with you. Now, notice here what he's doing. He's sidestepping. He doesn't answer yes or no that he'll do the debate with RFK Jr. He's saying, and Joe Rogan clarified this for anyone who, I guess, doesn't get it, doesn't understand it. He's sidestepping. He's basically saying, I'll come on your show alone, but I'm not coming on to do a debate with RFK Jr. No, I'd rather just sit here and take shots at him, but I don't want to talk with him. I'd rather just sit in the peanut gallery and criticize him. So that's how he responded. So then Joe Rogan pointed out that is a non-answer. I challenged you publicly because you publicly quote tweeted and agreed with that dog shit Vice article. If you're really serious about what you stand for, you now have a massive opportunity for a debate that will reach the largest audience a discussion like this has ever had. If you think someone else is better qualified, suggest that person. So then Hotez says, Joe, if you are serious about addressing vaccines and the fact that 200,000 unvaccinated Americans needlessly perished during our awful Delta BA1 COVID waves, including 40,000 in our state of Texas, because they fell victims to vaccine disinformation, I want to have that discussion. I hate what he's doing in this tweet. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Because uh, first of all, you don't know why those people chose not to get vaccinated. He says it's because of vaccine disinformation. Bullshit. You don't know why they chose not to get vaccinated. And second of all, you have zero evidence that the vaccine would have prevented those people from dying. That's one reason I hate this tweet. The other reason I hate it is because, as you know, if you followed this at all, we can't easily pull to the same kind of numbers. We can pull to numbers, but we don't have one place that offers a really go-to record of how many people have died because of the jab. This video may get pulled for me even saying that. That's how much they've clamped down on even questioning it, on tracking it. So, I'd love to be able to hit back at him and say, look, here's how many people died as a result of your thing that you're pushing that I'm afraid to say because I will get censored. This makes me so angry. This here makes me angry. Given the censorship, given all of the associated problems, the problems that people have had as a result of taking that jab and that we're not allowed to discuss. It seems like they're loosening the grip a little bit on some of the discussion around the vaccine, but not to the point where I feel comfortable just talking openly about it. So, this guy disgusts me. Anyway, okay. So let's continue. So then Joe Rogan has to say, again, I'm going to ask you very clearly, are you willing to debate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on my podcast? Like, this is the third time he's asked him, right? Please, are you willing to do this? And he never answers, as you can imagine. He never says yes or no. Then a very interesting thing happened. A lot of people started jumping in and adding money to the pot. So a lot of people started jumping in and saying, okay, I really think this debate should happen. And I'm willing to put up $100,000 until the pot, the last I saw, it's probably higher than this now. You guys who are following this more closely than me probably know, but the last I saw, it was up to $1.5 million. So people like Tim Pool from Timcast had added in, look, I'm good for 100K as well. And look, people are willing to offer at least, last I saw, over $1.5 million to the charity of Hotez's choice. If all he has to do is come on and do something that he says should be easy, right? Oh, just slap down some misinformation from RFK Jr. And he won't do it. He won't go on the most popular podcasts in the world for $1.5 million check to the charity of his choice to slap down some easy to slap down misinformation. Won't do it. Pretty concerning, right? I wanted to show you a couple of other things. Just the amount of craziness that I've seen as a result of this. Maybe that's part of the reason I can't look away from this Hotez disaster, is because of what it's revealing about human nature and the human ability to be delusional, to delude ourselves and to say things that make zero sense. I saw this in the comments of one of Timcast's tweets where he was talking about adding 100K to the pot. And this guy did several tweets. I commented on this because I thought it was so insane. This is what I mean about Darvo, about the truth being reversed, about up is down, down is up. This guy's he quotes something. He says, "A truth does not mind being questioned." Yeah, it does not mind being questioned. A lie does not like being challenged. Yeah. So how can you quote something like that and not realize that in this scenario, Hotez does not like being questioned and he does not like being challenged. I don't, that to me is such a level. This is why it's fascinating. That's such a level of self-deception. And so then he continues. He says, "Let this be known as a factual statement of this thread. Everyone replying lacking sources admits they loathe me for challenging them. After all, I've gotten more excuses than sources. Facts are superior. Lies are inferior. Tim's and Rogan's fans can't handle anyone challenging their echo chamber because we threaten their narrative." What? So I shared this and I said, I quoted him. Timcast and Joe Rogan fans can't handle anyone challenging their echo chamber. Yeah, that's why they're offering $800,000. At that point, it was up to 800,000. That's why they're offering $800,000 to Peter Hotez to go on the show and challenge their echo chamber. And later, it got up to 1.5 million. And there were people in here. There were a few people in here who didn't get this. They didn't get the sarcasm, and they were like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm like, exactly, it does not make any sense. I don't understand a person that can say something like that. That can say, Tim Pool fans and Joe Rogan fans, they just can't stand to be challenged. They just hate being challenged. That's why they're offering $1.5 million to have someone challenge them, because they hate it so much. Like, they're willing to pay $1.5 million because they can't stand being challenged or having a debate or having a conversation. Do you hear the insanity there? These people are fascinating to me. Just because I lived, when I was in woke, I lived with a certain level of constant self-deception. I did. Where I had this uneasiness deep down, I think because I knew I hadn't done the work necessary to hold some of the opinions I had. But I was never, I don't think, and I think this is objective looking back at myself. I was never this deluded as some of these people. I don't think so. Where you could say something like, you know, Joe Rogan and Tim Pool are afraid of being challenged. That's why they're offering $1.5 million to be challenged. Like, what? I don't get it. Kind of without words here. Okay. Let me see. I have to look down because I got the travel camera and the travel microphone in different places. So let me see if I missed anything in the chat. Okay. No, I don't think so. Okay. I've got something else to show you guys. And then we're going to watch this amazing video with some of the best clips of Hotez. So here's what happened afterwards. Instead of going on Rogan, even though people are willing to pay $1.5 million for him to come on and have a simple conversation with RFK Jr., he's had to come up with many excuses as to why he will not engage in debate or questioning. And so what he's been doing is, I'm sure you can imagine, he is playing a victim. He's pretending like he's the victim of some kind of harassment campaign online. And he actually deleted a tweet in which he called Joe Rogan and Elon Musk part of some and RFK Jr. part of some neo-fascist cabal. He deleted that tweet. But Rogan caught it and had a screenshot of it. He's going on all the establishment media. Of course he is. He's going on all the establishment media, and they're carrying water for him. And people like Joe Acosta, like all the usual shills, all the establishment hacks or Chris Hayes, they're all coming forward and doing tweets like, I bravely stand with Peter Hotez, who is one of the best doctors. Like they're really saying, you know, all this stuff. They're trying to make him into some martyr. And George Takei just did a tweet like, I will follow Hotez and you will too if you believe in science. They talk about it in such cult-like terms. So he's going on all the establishment media, and guess what he's doing on the establishment media? He's hawking his book. He is using the establishment media to attack Joe Rogan, to further attack Joe Rogan, to further attack RFK Jr., to further engage in ad hominem attacks, calling them conspiracy theorists, whatever. But he's not really offering at least in my opinion, a good reason for why he won't engage in debate. Here, let me show you some of this media. So he's gaining followers on the left. He's gaining leftist followers. And his whole feed right now is him retweeting establishment shills and people who are coming to his defense. He's got time to do that, but he doesn't have time he cannot go on the biggest podcast in the world and talk to someone who disagrees with him. Okay. I'm just going to scroll down. Look, see, here we go. Look at all these. Let's take a moment to thank Dr. Peter Hotez for single-handedly combating Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, and Robert Kennedy Jr. Dr. Hotez is a true public servant and has more knowledge, talent, and courage than all three of them combined. I'm team Dr. Hotez all the way. I'm about to show you a video about how truly and thoroughly disturbing this Dr. Hotez is. That's why I'm kind of laughing at this. Here's Jim Acosta carrying water for him, along with Molly Jong Fast. Molly Jong Fast to Acosta. Peter Hotez is a lifelong public servant with a low-cost vaccine for developing countries, devoting himself to science. A pediatrician, an incredibly good man. RFK Jr. is a crank, an anti-vaxxer, No reason for Dr. Hotez to bother with it. So they're doing all the media rounds, talking about how he should not. It's okay that he's not willing to let anyone question him or to engage in any debate or to defend anything he said or to defend his positions. But somehow he's the side of science, right? Can't question him, but that's science. No, that's religion. That's faith. That's corporatism. That's big pharma. That's establishment bullshit. Here's George Takei. I am now following Peter Hotez and every decent person here who believes in science. Again, it's cult like quasi-religious kind of language. Believes in science, and not quackery should too. I heard Brett Weinstein say once, and I thought this was great. Says science doesn't require belief or faith. It just requires like a transparent methodology, and that can be repeated, so that you can observe that you can have that you have repeated results. That's all. It doesn't require faith or belief. It requires you being curious and being able to ask questions and having transparent methodology. George Takei with the cult language. I want to continue. Here's him again. He's promoting all of his MSNBC. There he is on a Mehdi Hassan show. Look how they promote this. Look how the establishment media promotes it. They said Peter Hotez responds to being asked to debate anti-vaxxer RFK Jr. And this is part of what he said on that show. Quote, anti-vaccine disinformation is now a lethal force in the United States. I offered to go on Joe Rogan, but not turn it into the Jerry Springer show with having RFK Jr. on. What a lame excuse. What a lame excuse. Let's watch this.
Contrary to what RFK Jr. and other anti-vax nuts have claimed, there is no connection between vaccines and autism, no connection, no established documented connection between vaccines and serious diseases or mass death. Vaccines tend to save lives across the board, do they not? That's what the peer-reviewed evidence overwhelmingly shows, does it not? And people are dying right now from COVID still because the evidence on COVID vaccines' efficacy is being ignored or shouted down on social media.
Well, there's three or four moving parts to this. So I'm a vaccine scientist. I make low cost, patent-free vaccines for low and middle income countries. We made 100 million doses we made 2 vaccine prototypes that led to 100 million doses being administered in India.
By the way, look at the bottom, the Chiron. RFK Jr. spews wild conspiracies on Joe Rogan's podcast. I just like the way they tell you. I mean, here's the thing. You may watch that show and you may come away with, I think this is wild, or I think this is a conspiracy, but they tell you like it's a fact. This is the news. This is the news. And they're telling you what to think. And if you're on the left and you're listening, I mean, think about that. They're pre-programming you. They're planting you in your mind like, oh, I shouldn't watch Joe Rogan. I shouldn't listen to Joe Rogan. It's like wild conspiracies. That's what the news says. That's what the news says. You know who pushes wild conspiracies? The mainstream news. Russiagate being one of the biggest recent ones. That's just recently. Wild conspiracies. Okay.
In Indonesia, no patents, minimal strings attached. So we actually found a way to bypass the pharma companies, and yet RFK Jr. incessantly calls me a pharma shill when, if anything, our vaccines maybe kept Pfizer and Moderna out of markets in India and in Indonesia. So I don't understand that piece. And then the reason I got involved with RFK Jr. in the first place is I have an adult daughter, Rachel, who has autism and intellectual disabilities, and wrote the book Vaccines Did Not Cause Rachel's Autism, that refuted all of his false claims, and that's been, he's been kind of after me ever since then, and now he's at it again. But this time, Ilana, this time, Eddie, it's caused something really terrible, and that is during our COVID pandemic. I have a new book coming out that basically says 200,000 Americans needlessly perished because they believed the anti-vaccine disinformation and refused to take a COVID vaccine during our Delta wave and BA1 Omicron wave in 2021-22 after vaccines were widely available. So the point is anti-vaccine disinformation.
And your vaccines were so effective, right? That's why you had to go on television and correct yourself over and over and over again. Your vaccine, and I put that in quotes because it did not stop transmission. You had to admit that. You guys had to backtrack. I remember I'm old enough to remember Rachel Maddow saying, if you take this vaccine, you can't transmit it. You can't catch it or transmit it. Bullshit. Then they had to go and correct themselves. Oh, wait, you can still get it and you can still transmit it, but it's still a vaccine. Trust us, guys. But you only need this one. Okay. Then a few months later, well, I think you need to get 2. You have to get 2. That's what'll help. Oh, no. Okay, 3. Okay, now you need boost. Okay, now every month, like every year, every month, like. And part of the problem is that they're just now starting to loosen some of the censorship around even asking questions about this. We should have been able to question this from the beginning. That's science. Instead, they censored doctors. They censored doctors like Stanford's Jay Bhattacharya. They censored scientists like Robert Malone, who developed the mRNA technology. They tried to paint these guys as nut jobs. These are established, respected doctors, scientists from some of the biggest institutions, the biggest schools in the country. And they tried to paint them, they tried to make us think they were crazy. And they took them off social media so they couldn't talk. But they left up, who did they leave up? Establishment and corporate shills like this Peter Hotez. People who were willing to say whatever the narrative was and to continue to contradict himself and correct himself. this, I don't know. I still have I have to laugh at it because I think a lot of us have a lot of anger about the censorship that's happened in the past few years. And as I said, they're just now starting to loosen up some of it. And we're not even in a place where we can, even now, we still can't speak freely about it. Like I said, this video could probably get pulled on YouTube. When I say it's loosened up a little, it's because Elon Musk, who believes in free speech, purchased Twitter. That's it. There's one space where you can now talk more freely. I was trying to explain this to a friend of a friend today. Actually, this morning we were talking about some of this stuff, and I was trying to explain it. Like, I was trying to put myself in the mind of someone who maybe went along with the establishment during the past couple years and who has questions about, like, what are you? Are you an anti-vaccine? Are you conspiracy theorist? Like that kind of thing. So this is the best way I can put it. One of the craziest things I saw happen during the COVID years was that the what's called the Overton window. The Overton window is just a way to refer to that the window of what is considered acceptable discourse. The Overton window shifted, okay, during the COVID years to such a degree that something that's pretty normal, that had previously a few years ago would have been considered normal and non-controversial, was suddenly considered controversial. And I'll give you an example. When they first started pushing the jab, I looked at it. I thought, well, Hey guys, can you hear me? Am I back on YouTube? Night Train, I can see you guys. I think she probably saw a Juneteenth celebration and stopped to look at the crowds. Oh, it is Juneteenth today. After this, we're going to get out and see a little bit of New Mexico, and I can't wait. And we're going to go for a hike and see. Yeah, maybe there's some kind of celebration happening. Okay, I'm back. I don't know what happened. It might be YouTube. It might just be my crap internet on the road, but it finally came refreshed and came back. Yes, in the UK, says Neil. Hey guys. Well, thank you for sticking around. I think we lost a few, but we still have some folks here. Somebody says they're probably going to give me a strike on this video. I don't know. I'm not sure where we cut out, but I would before, in case something happens again. I want to show you this Hotez video, this clip reel that someone put together. And the last thing I'll say before we get to that reel is this. I was talking about how, I don't know what point I cut out, but I was talking about how during the COVID years, the Overton window had shifted. The Overton window is just a way that people have come up with to describe the window of what is considered acceptable discourse, like what is okay to talk about. And it kind of moved a little during the COVID years. It's moved a lot in recent years on different things, but it moved to such a degree that saying something reasonable, like when it came out, I was thinking, well, I don't think I'm going to get the jab because it hasn't been out long enough for there to be longitudinal studies. It hasn't. You can look at how long. I mean, we can all do math. We can all see how long they were working on it. And I'm not anti-vax. I've taken many vaccines in my life. I've taken, even in adulthood, I've taken them. And those have decades of studies under the belt. This one didn't. So it's not unreasonable to say, I don't know what the risks are. It hasn't been around long enough to know what the risks are. And I'm not going to be a guinea pig for it. And at the same time, I was looking at data about COVID and I was saying, which is reasonable. I was saying, well, I'm not at high risk because it seems that those who are at high risk of death are those who have some kind of comorbidity. They have a pre-existing condition. They're either elderly, they're obese, or they have a pre-existing condition. And I'm not in any of those groups. So I don't want to get it. I think it's, personally, I think it came from a lab. I think it's been, pretty scary, nasty bug, and I don't want to get it, but I'm gonna calculate my risk of getting it versus my unknown risks of this new shot. So I chose to go with the risk that I can at least somewhat calculate versus the unknown risk, which could be crazy. I don't know what they are. And you can choose to do what you want. I'm going to choose to do what I want in this case. I'm going to wait. That's very reasonable. But because during the COVID years, the Overton window, the window of what's considered acceptable rhetoric, acceptable conversation, dialogue had shifted. And so suddenly people who were saying reasonable things like that were being called, oh, you're crazy, you're right wing, you're anti-vax, you're going to kill grandma. They were calling us horrible things. People were saying we should die. Like, what? That's when I really started to question, because the response was insane. The response to something reasonable was insane. And those of you who went through that with me, and you know what I'm talking about, I mean, we went through some serious propaganda, pressure, social coercion. Some people lost their jobs. I did a video where I interviewed people who chose to remain anonymous, some of them who had either lost their job or were in the process of potentially losing their job because they wouldn't get the jab. And that video got taken down by YouTube. And we got a strike for even talking about it. And several of those people worked in the healthcare industry. This happened to people, all for making a reasonable choice. So I don't know. It's been a crazy few years. And the other crazy thing was, for those of us who have what they want to call the vaccine hesitancy, right? Like, Do you not realize, Peter Hotez, that people like you put your if you're such an enemy of vaccine hesitancy, then why are you contributing to it? Because, and here, let me explain how you're contributing to it. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is, I think he's running for president. Did he declare or not? If he hasn't, he's likely running for president. He's polling well. There's the possibility that this man could be our president. However remote you think that is, there's the possibility he could be our president. Do you not have a duty then to correct the record? If you think he's spreading misinformation, do you not have a duty to correct the record with him? Do you not have a duty to go on? If you think Joe Rogan, the most popular podcast in the world, is spreading dangerous misinformation to all these people, do you not have a duty to go on that podcast and set the record straight? Do you know why you make us more skeptical and more hesitant? Because you won't engage in questioning. You won't engage in debate. Like a coward, like the coward you are. So of course we're like, yeah, you're full of crap. If you really wanted to challenge hesitancy, you would be transparent. Science is transparent. Science can be questioned. You can't be. So you're not science. Okay. We're going to watch this now before I get pulled down again or lose my internet again. This is just incredible. And the person who put this together is mentioned on screen in the video. I'll pause it when we get to that part. And they want it to be shared. They want this video to be shared. So share it. I'm going to drop the link in the video description below. And everybody should share. I think this video is so well done. It's genius. Oh, hello. Thank you for the super chats. I'll read these first real quick and then we'll watch this video. Yarn, Chicken, and Shit. What a great name. I recognize your avatar, though. I know who you are. Yarn, Chicken, and Shit for $4.99. Says, sorry that your stream died suddenly. By the way, this is Tara. Oh, I already recognized your image, girl. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat. I should have said up front, I'm really bad at remembering. If you like the show, if you're a return visitor and you're able to and want to support the show, you can do so at StreamYard. Not at StreamYard. That's where I air. Subscribestar, Locals, or Patreon, or here at YouTube. And my goal, which at some point I should get all official and put it together and show you numbers and stuff. My goal is simply, at some point, I would like to make enough money from contributors and subscribers to be able to hire Mystery Chris, who's my Wednesday night co-host, to hire him full-time and do more programming with him. And we want to do more comedy sketches and things like that. And I think that's a pretty modest goal. And so at some point, and then of course I would love to support myself with the show eventually. But right now this is doable, what I do, working gig jobs doing this. But yeah, you can do that if you want to support the show that way. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked again. Yarn, Chicken, and Shit for $4.99 says, St. Augustine wrote, truth is like a lion. You don't have to defend it. Let it loose and it will defend itself. Yes. I was thinking of that, Tara, the other day, that quote about like the truth needs no help. And that's what's pretty incredible about that guy who was replying to me on Twitter, who he's saying things that are true, like the truth needs no help. And then he's defending a liar. He's defending an evader. He's defending people who won't allow questioning. It doesn't make sense to me. Laura for $4.99 says, I work for a casino. Get the jab or be fired. I caved. 2 months later, I got COVID a second time and gave it to my unjabbed boyfriend. Worked great. Yeah, I think that's sarcasm at the end because you got it a second time. Exactly. And so there are people who were coerced into taking it, or who maybe they wouldn't say they were coerced. They chose, they wanted to take it. Like some people in my family. And then over time, they have stopped following the protocol. They're like, nah, I don't think I'm going to do this monthly anymore. And so the numbers of the so-called hesitant, the ones they want to demonize, are rising. There's a lot of people who got it, who have since gotten off the train and are like, okay, I'm done. Like, I'm done. It did not prevent catching it and it to not prevent transmission. So what exactly is it? I think that's it. Oh no. Here we go. Thank you, ADL1982, for the $1.99 super chat. Thanks for supporting the channel. And Dark Water became a new member here at YouTube. Thank you so much. Okay. I appreciate it. We're gonna get back to the video. Okay, this is what I want to show you. And like I said, this guy who made this wants this to be shared, and I think it's really effective. So we should all share it. You can even screen record it and share it because he's got his name right in there for credit. So Dave Smith shared it. Dave Smith didn't make it, but he shared it. For example, that's where I saw it. And he says, really, it's kind of funny, but sarcasm. He goes, I can't imagine why this guy would turn down the opportunity to debate Robert Kennedy Jr. and raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for charity. It must be because RFK is a conspiracy theorist. And then he shares this excellent, excellent video. Should I make it bigger? Yeah, there we go. And I'm going to turn up the sound. Oh my gosh, this is so good. Here we go. Dr. Hotez, the greatest hits, March of 2020.
One of the things that we're not hearing a lot about is the unique potential safety problem of coronavirus vaccines.
And then something changed.
Any vaccine released by emergency use authorization by the FDA is an outstanding vaccine.
J&J's vaccine has a risk of life-threatening blood clots.
When you hear the beep, that's the sound of safety.
So don't overthink it. They're both really good. They're all really good vaccines. Get vaccinated now.
You gotta call now.
If you wait, it's going to be really too late to protect your child.
If this was your child, what happens next could make it the worst day of your life.
So even though COVID poses zero threat to healthy children,
Vaccinate your children.
Do the right thing. Be safe and not sorry.
I'm strongly recommending for adolescents to get their 2 doses of vaccine fully immunized after those 2 doses.
Advanced technology that
Fully.
can help save lives.
This is
fully
going to be a
immunized.
long-lasting vaccine. A long-lasting vaccine.
A few moments later.
We're seeing that 2 doses is not holding up well for emergency room visits. It's not holding up well for hospitalizations.
Here we go again.
Everyone's going to need a booster. You need that 3rd immunization.
Triple the amount.
Get that 3rd immunization. The 2 mRNA vaccines were always a 3-dose vaccine. The 2 mRNA vaccines were always a 3-dose vaccine. I've always said that.
Look, you can see him lying. I'm sorry to pause such a funny video, but you can see him lying right in this video. He just said if your child gets 2, they're fully immunized. They're fully immunized. What? Oh, wait, they can still get it and transmit it. Okay, now the 3rd one comes out. They were always meant to be 3 doses. Always. He's like, what a freaking liar. What a freaking liar. Okay, we'll continue.
This is a 3-dose vaccine. I've always said this is a 3-dose vaccine. This is a 3-dose vaccine.
But I'm not done yet.
That 3rd immunization, the problem is it's not holding up. So we may have to look at sort of innovative solutions.
Oh God, not this again.
A 4th immunization, just to keep them going, keep the country going. We have to consider some out of the box things. A 4th immunization, a 4th immunization. Get that 2nd boost, a 2nd boost to keep the country going. I've made that recommendation. A 4th immunization.
But I'm still not done.
1 semester later.
Unfortunately, the numbers are starting to trend up again. So the hospitalizations are up. And so the most important message that I have this morning is get your new bivalent booster.
Willie and Lise were saying they got their booster, and I was like, oh, I need to get mine. And then I found out they're talking about the 3rd shot. And is that the bivalent, or is it the 4th booster, or does it matter? Like,
Don't worry so much about the number of.
There's no wrong way to use it.
You have to get it. This new bivalent booster.
You can double or triple stack them.
The new bivalent one is doing a much better job. You have to get a booster.
Yeah.
You need to get this new bivalent booster. That bivalent booster for COVID.
But does everyone ages 12 and older need a booster?
The answer is yes. Yes. And by the way, if you're over 50 and have gotten 2 boosters and more than 2 to 4 months out, you're going to need a 3rd booster as well, a 5th immunization.
5.
I don't think we're going to need an annual booster like flu.
Eventually.
Dr. Hotez supports yearly boosters, just like flu.
But I'm still not done.
It looks as though the boosters are not holding up quite as well as we'd like. And I think our thinking is going to change, and that what's going to happen is every few months we may need another booster.
Perfect results each and every time.
We just could not overcome that massive disinformation campaign, these fake concepts of herd immunity and discrediting masks.
Dr. Hotez, you are a national treasure.
It is picking off young people like we've never seen.
Dr. Peter Hotez, that was extremely informative.
Disinformation that you're hearing, that kids are fine, it's nonsense. Kids need to get that vaccination.
You healthcare workers have been our saviors.
Watch out for that misinformation.
Dr. Peter Hotez is probably one of the smartest people on this topic.
If you haven't gotten your 5 and up vaccinated yet, now's the time to do that.
Dr. Peter Hotez, thank you for saving the world.
They also
Saving the
support giving
world.
that third immunization for the 12 to 17-year-olds.
People have to feel safe.
Dr. Hotez, you are a voice of reason.
Take down
voice
the
of
fake
reason.
information, these fake concepts of herd immunity. Our last hope is to vaccinate our way through this. Make certain that everybody's vaccinated, including their kids. That's the single most important thing right now the American people have to do.
Dr. Peter Hotez was a person that we like to go to for the sort of
The
expertise.
single most impactful thing you can do is make certain that you're fully boosted and preferably 2 boosted.
Later.
Monkeypox is a global.
This video keeps getting better. I almost want to watch it a second time because you'll catch things you didn't catch the first time. Let's continue. Now we're getting into monkeypox.
Emergency.
And it's accelerating among a specific social network of men who have sex with men, not because it's sexually transmitted.
Monkeypox is sexually transmitted, almost exclusively.
Before we let you go, we have to stop and applaud you because a lot of MSNBC viewers who have watched you constantly for the last 3 years or so and have come to trust you. I don't know if they fully appreciate what you have done.
I mean, it's so good.
One of the things that we're not hearing a lot.
The guy who made it, I want to give him credit. I was going to pause it where it's right before it says, please share. His name pops up. Video by Orf on Racket News. And he's got up there at the top, please share. I'm going to drop the link below. If you just grab it, share it, you can rip it, whatever. He's got his credit on screen. I think he did such a good job. He uses the humor, and this is how you use humor to point out someone who is absurd. This Hotez guy is absurd. The media is absurd. And he does a good job of taking the piss out of him and helping us laugh at something that's just really crazy and otherwise infuriating. And yeah, I almost want to see it again.
Just could not overcome that.
Hold on. Just let me watch it, just the beginning more time, and then we're done. Because
One of the things that we're not hearing a lot about is the unique potential safety problem of coronavirus vaccines.
And then something changed.
Any vaccine released by emergency use authorization by the FDA is an outstanding vaccine.
J&J's vaccine has a risk of life-threatening blood clots.
When you hear the beat, that's the sound of safety.
So don't overthink it. They're both really good. They're all really good vaccines. Get vaccinated now.
You gotta call now.
If you wait, it's going to be really too late to protect your child.
If this was your child, what happens next?
what
could make
a
it the worst day
scare
of your
tactic.
So even though COVID poses zero threat,
Even like that was not, children were the least threatened by this. We knew this at the time, and he still says such scare tactics like if you wait, too late to protect your child. Like, why the rush to push this untested, well, I shouldn't say untested, it'll definitely get pulled, but to push this new shot with a new technology, by the way, on children, which has not been around long enough for longitudinal studies. Why the rush to push that on kids? I don't get it. Anyway, I want to keep watching it again. This is the kind of thing I can watch over and over and laugh at over and over, but I won't subject you to it. You can rewind and I'll give you the link. Yeah, Dan, exactly. He says, no wonder people were frightened. I know. And the people who kept watching the news during this, I mean, they were watching straight up fear propaganda constantly. I feel bad for those people. I feel bad. Okay. I've got maybe one more thing we can look at before I go. One more video clip, because Hotez was on Joe Rogan once, And he was on by himself, of course. He doesn't like to be challenged by someone. He doesn't want to be challenged by someone like RFK. He just wants to take these shots. And not talk to someone face to face. He just wants to trash talk on Twitter. But he was on Rogan once, and there was a clip that went viral, as it should have, about just like who it is that we put our faith and trust in. I want to show that clip. Before we do, let me just thank you, Andrew Joyner, for the super chat. Thank you so much. 5 lira. I'm kidding. If you've been here a while, you know it's pounds. We just have a joke because I once called it lira by mistake. Andrew Joyner, thanks. He says, I like Dave. I do too. Dave Smith. He's pretty funny. Okay. Poopta for $4.99. Thank you. Says, God rest Billy Mays, a true piece of American culture, and may he forgive us for putting Billy in a video with Hortense. Yes. Everyone knows Billy Mays. I think there was wasn't there a Billy Mays doll? Like where you could pull the string and he would talk. I think he reached that level at pop culture where there was a talking Billy Mays doll. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, let's see. Let's watch. I want to watch this old Rogan clip from the one time that Hotez was on his show. If you missed it, this is a great clip that just kind of shows you a little bit about who it is that that if you trust him, that who it is that you're trusting. Wait a minute. I shared the wrong one. Hold on. Here we go. Can you guys see that?
Do you take care of your immune system in other ways? Do you take probiotics? Are you cautious about your diet?
I'm not as cautious about my diet as I should be. I'm a junk foodaholic, actually.
Well, that seems like a terrible thing for your health.
It is a terrible thing for my health, and something my wife is.
This is no small thing. I want to pause this here. This is no small thing. In modern culture, we seem to have gotten away from this basic truth and this bit of common sense. There's a lot of common sense that's no longer common. We've gotten so far away from it. And this is one of those things that I've been thinking about a lot more. I saw somebody on Twitter, maybe it was Ed Lattimore or someone, one of these very physically fit guys who says a lot of smart things. So maybe it was Ed, was saying something about you should be something before you talk about it. You should be something before you teach it. You should be something before you sell it, for sure. And in this day and age, we see so many people who are selling things on how to improve your life, how to be physically fit, how to be healthy, how to take care of your health, or how to have a happy marriage, or how to succeed online, or how to do marketing or whatever. And when you look at them, you're like, wait a minute, physician, heal thyself. You have not demonstrated that you actually know F all about what you're talking about because your own life should be an example. You almost shouldn't have to talk about it. Your own life should be an example to such a degree that people come to you and ask you, what are you doing in this area? I'm very impressed. Please give me some advice. It doesn't matter if we're talking about health, if we're talking about marriage, if we're talking about self-esteem, positivity, business success, what have you, marketing. Like you should be it first. You should live it first. This is no small point. It's just that we've gotten really far away from this. And so somehow when it comes to quote unquote medical professionals like this guy, we've gotten to a place where they can be absolute unhealthy, visibly unhealthy slobs, admittedly unhealthy people who do not live a healthy lifestyle. And yet we put all this faith in them to teach us about health. I don't care what your degree is. If if you struggle with the basics like that, there's nothing wrong with that being your struggle. We all have different struggles. My struggle was alcohol. If you watch the show, you know that. We all have different thorns. But if you haven't mastered that yet, if you haven't bested your thorn in your personal life, and your thorn happens to be a health one related to health, and your job is about health, move the F on. Like, I don't want to hear anything from you. You haven't demonstrated that you haven't demonstrated anything with your own life that you're worthy of listening to or putting faith in. This is not a small point. This is a huge point. I'm going to back it up.
Do you take care of your immune system in other ways? Do you take probiotics? Are you cautious about your diet?
I'm not as cautious about my diet as I should be. I'm a junk foodaholic, actually.
Well, that seems like a terrible thing for your health.
It is a terrible thing for my health, and something my wife is working on.
But that seems ridiculous for someone who works with health.
Yeah.
What's going on with you, man?
Sometimes, man, I just don't get it right.
How often?
What?
How often?
How often do I steal a bag of chips or something
How often
like
do
that?
you eat garbage?
I don't know. No, hopefully not every day, but
Hopefully not every day.
Yeah, maybe a couple of times a week.
Oh.
That's what with Rachel, my daughter with autism. That's like our thing is to go to the it's called the burger joint, or to Shake Shack to get a cheeseburger. We'll sneak some fries.
So you
living large, we call it.
Like that mouth pleasure so much, you're willing to sacrifice a little bit. I
am. Yeah. I have to concede that's the case.
Well, there's, I don't have to tell you, but there's a large body of data that connects poor diet to a host of diseases. That seems like a crazy decision for a guy in your line of work.
There you go. Sometimes it's not all brain. It's something else.
But if you ate healthy food, the thing is your body starts craving healthy food. You start feeling
no question.
results.
No question about it.
Do you take vitamins?
I don't take vitamins.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't think they do. I don't think they're needed because most in the American.
Hold up. You don't think they're needed while you're eating junk food?
Well, hopefully I'm not only eating junk food.
Okay,
right?
but there's a large body of clinical research on the efficacy of vitamins, especially vitamins D, vitamins B.
I have taken vitamin D for periods, the recommendation of my internist. Yeah.
What about essential fatty acids, which are great for your brain, fish oil, all these different things that are fantastic for
I'm not going to argue with you.
What is going on with you, doctor?
You got it. You got it over me. Yeah.
You got to listen, but you would have a much better argument.
You're making my wife stay here.
If you're taking care of yourself 100% instead of
but you still need your vaccines.
I'm sure you do.
Wow. Did you hear that? He gets right back to what he's there to shill for. Hey, kids, but you still need your vaccines. Yes. Couple things. I just wanted to point this out because ADL and some others in the chat were saying this. I saw this go by. ADL says, I struggle with my weight. There's no shame in that. Like I said, everybody struggles with something. We all have a different kind of thorn. Some of us have the same one. Some have more than one. My point is that this is a guy who has not conquered that yet. He's still struggling with that. And his job is related to health and healthcare. That's my issue. He should not be professing to teach anything, to lecture anybody on anything having to do with health when he is not a master of it in his own domain. I think that's become my new general rule of thumb on any kind of so-called expert, whatever domain they're in. It would be like having a hoarder come out and do interviews and talk about like cleaning your space if they haven't yet done that. Look, if they're on the other side of it and they've bested it, then yeah, I want to hear from that hoarder, that former hoarder, about how they got their space cleaned up. But if they're still hoarding and they're still living in garbage, like, I don't think I want any advice from you, hoarder. That's what that's like listening to this guy, especially for someone like Rogan, who cares very much about his health, and sitting there getting lectured by a guy who just admitted he doesn't care at all. Yeah, not a master of his domain. Okay, we'll finish this.
But vaccines aren't going to prevent cancer.
No, that's true.
Right.
That's
and
true.
There's a lot of diseases.
Or
that,
diabetes or cardiovascular
Sure.
disease. Or
And a
other
lot
things.
of these diseases are connected directly to diet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
And
man.
other lifestyle changes.
Yeah. Gotta get your exercising.
Sedentary life. I try to go on the treadmill for 30 minutes every
try.
morning. I do it. Actually, I'm pretty good about that.
Yeah.
30 minutes every morning.
Why
on
don't
the
you just
treadmill.
go for an actual walk? It's more interesting.
I do that too. So
have a dog?
I do but I do them 30 minutes on the treadmill in the morning, and then I take a long walk with my wife in the evening.
Oh,
and I
that's
get home.
good.
But the thing that knocks the crap out of you is the travel.
Yes.
I find that very frustrating because you don't
I do
exercise
too.
right, and then you don't eat well, and you don't control the diet as well. So that's
Well, I have a solution to that. And eat well and exercise. Those are solutions to that. Just do it. You know,
Right.
I treat it like I'm brushing my teeth. I brush my teeth every day.
Yeah.
I exercise every day too.
Yeah.
So when I travel, I don't have an option. When I land, I go to the gym. This is how it goes. I land, I get in my hotel room, I put my shorts on.
yeah. I do that
go to the
too. I
gym.
do that too. When
It's
I
the
can.
only way.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you have to do it, if you say this is just what gets done,
Right.
this is how you do it.
Yeah, I try to be really compulsive about that. So
Yeah, I have it written out. I know what I'm going to do,
Mhm.
especially if it's great if the hotel has a good gym. The hotel, if they have weights and a bunch of different.
or I'll
things you
run
can do.
outside if we don't have it.
You run?
Yeah.
Do you?
Not very well, but
No, but you do. Okay.
Yeah.
We got to get you healthy, buddy.
Yeah.
Can't be pushing only chemicals in injectable forms to facilitate health.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Not chemicals, they're vaccines.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's in them?
What?
It's not. I mean, it's some sort of chemical. No.
No, they're antigens, right? They're
What's the fluid?
Macromolecules.
What's the liquid stuff?
Typically it would be saline or salt water. And
Right.
Okay. I just thought that was great to come back to with this guy. No, I eat junk food guy. Yeah. Cheeky Mare, I also doubt that. I don't want to, who knows? Maybe he's telling the truth. I feel like towards the end he wanted to maybe puff up a little bit about what he's doing, but he kept using that word try. I try to, which usually when people are using that, they're kind of giving away that they don't make this a practice. So, Joe Rogan's like, that's the first thing I do. You have to make yourself do it. You go to the hotel, you check in, you put on your shorts, you go to the gym. And he's like, right, me too. Me too. No, you don't. I don't believe that. Anyway, I hope he does get healthy. As much as I think he's horrible, I called this episode Hotez the Horrible because I was remember that cartoon Hagar the Horrible? I was thinking of that, and I like alliteration, so I called it that. I do think he's horrible in terms of what he does on television, the fact that he acts as a propaganda mouthpiece for government and big pharma, but he is not willing to engage in conversation. I think that's horrible. I think him scaring parents and needlessly pushing vaccines and masks on children was horrible. And I think what he's doing now and playing this victim on television and using it to sell his book. If you go to his Twitter feed, he's using all these corporate media appearances that he's doing now to cry about Rogan and Elon Musk and RFK Jr. He's using them to push his book. And I think that's horrible. But at the end of the day, I don't know if he's a horrible person deep down inside or not. Sometimes people who are not horrible do horrible things. And maybe we shall say a prayer for him. If you pray that he is surrounded by light and truth and health and happiness, so much that it becomes blinding to him that he can't avoid it. Anyway, kind of rambling now. If you don't pray, you're going to be like, what? Why would you do that? Okay, I think I'm going to take off. Oh, my husband's speaking of the gym, my husband's at the gym right now. We're on the road. He's still working out. He says, OMG, my God, that guy. I didn't realize it was the same guy. Ha ha ha. Yeah, it's that guy. It's that guy, Anthony. It's the I don't work out and I eat junk food guy. Jamie says, I always enjoy your live streams, Keri. Keep up the good work and have a good day, everyone, and enjoy the work week. You guys have a great week, and I will see you on Wednesday. We are doing our live schedule. If you're new here, Wednesday nights at 8:00 is a live stream that my friend Mystery Chris and I do called Pop Culture, and we take a specific topic in entertainment or pop culture, and we talk about it and how it has helped to change or influence culture. and those are always so much fun. So hang Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock Central. We're on the road this week. As I mentioned, I'm on the road for 2 weeks with my husband. He's traveling for music. And so I'm going to be trying to continue doing my regular schedule from our van that we decked out, from the road at different people's places we're staying at. So, but I will see you. I will see you on Wednesday night. So, I missed you guys on Friday being on the road for Chrissy's wedding. So I was like, oh, this is happening on Monday. Regardless, we're going to hang out. Therese, thank you, lady. Thanks for hanging out. She says, have a great trip, Keri and Anthony. See y'all later, chat. See y'all later. Okay, so as I mentioned at the beginning, if you are in New Mexico, my husband has a show in Taos tomorrow night, and I hope you'll come and say hello. If you are in Montana, he's at the Songwriters Festival that's happening in Red Lodge all week, and there's lots of other songwriters. It's going to be great. Come and say hello. And if you're on our path, like if you're in New Mexico or Colorado or Montana, those are the states we're going to be stopping in mostly. Hit me up online, and probably the best place to hit me up would be Twitter, maybe, or Facebook. I haven't checked those messages in forever. Probably Twitter, or hit me up in the comments here and let me know, and maybe we can hang out or say hello at some point. But yeah, it was good to hang out with you guys today. Okay, I'm going to take off. Tiger's been having a lovely time on the road, and I heard this morning before I woke up, he chased 2 rabbits already, and he's been out in this big backyard, this friend's house that we're at, and he's been barking at big old dogs. And then he's been playing with the little kids here, and they've been throwing the ball. He's gotten more exercise this morning than in a long time. He loves being on the road. But we're going to go for a hike later as soon as Anthony gets back. So I'm taking off. Okay, bye, guys. Hey, Jeanette. Hey, Chicky Mare. Okay, I'll see you guys later. Let me see. Bye-bye.